Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to show you how we can draw, how we can compose and how we can paint red clover flower, and I'm going to show you two different ways to paint it. So in both the flowers I have used different technique to paint, so let me know which one you like the most at the end of my video. So let's start with today's video. So I'm using 300 GSM watercolor sheet for both painting and drawing. You can use normal sheet as well for drawing purpose. Now let's do the basic composition, the basic guideline for the drawing and for the painting both. So you can create an oval kind of shape, and then you can create a stem. You can think about where you want to keep the leaves, and these leaves are in a group of 3 leaves together. So something like this you can create, and then a couple of sepals or a leaf kind of shape at the base of the flower. So this is my drawing composition. Now let's do for the painting as well. So again I'm creating an oval shape. I'm going to show you two different ways to paint it, so that's why I'm doing two different flower, although I'm keeping only one composition and then multiple leaves around it. You can definitely take inspiration from Google, like how you want to compose these things, or you can do it by your own. It's not that difficult. Now I want to keep little extended flower, and I don't want this particular leaf, so something like this I have done at the end. So two group of leaves and two flower. Now let's start with the drawing. So drawing clover flower is very simple, to be frank. You just need little practice around small element that we need to create while creating flower. So for this stem I'm creating 2 line. I'm using size 0.2 needle pen. You can use normal ball pen, and try to use bigger pen for leaves and stem so that you can save your time a little bit. I'm using a smaller pen itself, and definitely you can use normal ball pen also, it's totally fine. So outline everything with the help of pen, and then create a middle line around each leaf that we have. You can create a node kind of structure from where you can see the leaves are emerging or different stamens emerging, and then you can keep little bit darker stem. Now for the leaf I'm going to do some hatching and cross hatching process. So hatching means creating parallel lines close to each other. You can keep the line very close so that you can get little darker textures, or you can keep it at distance as well. So based on your distance you can get different shades in your drawing. So I have done some hatching process from both sides. Now you can do some cross hatching as well. So cross hatching means creating cross line. So this time I am going throughout the leaves. So something like this you can do, and as you can see I have get little darker shade and repeated the same thing for another set as well. Now do a little bit of shading and detailing at the base of the flower or sepal or leaf, whatever you want to call it. Now for the flower I am dividing it into 3 sections. So in the middle section you can create small petals, but more visible petals you can say. So you can create something like this in the middle portion. And then in one side, which is on the right side, you can create little fine element having curve and spikes into it. The spikes is towards the left side because we are creating the petals on the right side. So you need to do the same thing for left side as well, and the spikes are more tilted towards the right side. So as you're moving towards the edge, keep the element little finer and finer, and for the middle section you can keep little bigger. Now add more spikes in between. Around the edge we definitely need to see that spikes. So something like this you can do. Rub all the unwanted pencil mark and then you can do little darker shade around the middle section, the lower middle section, because we can see a little bit green touch in that particular area, and we are only drawing it, so you can add little bolder texture in that particular area to get little darker values in that area. Now more spikes towards one side, you can keep a little lighter shade on the another side, and we are done with the drawing. I have rubbed the pencil mark, but I can still see my composition. Now I'm going to show you two different ways to paint it. Both ways are simple, so let's start with the first one. So for the first one, I am using very light shade of pink color, and I'm painting throughout the oval shape that we have. So paint something like this and then let it dry for some time. Meanwhile, you can do another element. So with the help of green color, you can create a stem. So I'm using size 05 round brush, and I'm applying little pressure to create the stem, and then you can create leaf kind of pattern at the base of the flower. You can also add little green touch in the middle of the flower as well towards downward direction, and then you can create leaves and stems. So for the leaf, I'm going to show you two different ways. Again, both are very simple. So you can create a leaf kind of pattern simply putting some color into the structure that you have created with the pencil, and I'm using sap green color on the lighter side. So this is what I have created. Now you can use a little bit of blue color into the green, and you can get little darker shade of green, and then you can put some green color around the leaf. My previous color have not dried completely, so you can easily use this particular shade and it will blend it by their own, because the sheet is little wet. So something like this you can create some line and pattern as well if needed. So this is what you can do. Another thing, you can dry your brush completely and then lift some color from the middle section of the leaf to get some shiny effect. So this is also you can do. Now let's move to the second flower. So I am keeping the first one as is. Now you can create small petal kind of shape like we did in the drawing. So repeating the similar stuff what we did in the drawing, but this time we are doing it with the help of brush. I'm using bigger brush, but I'm only using tip of my brush to paint these fine element. I have already explained everything about these things in my previous video, so if you want to learn one stroke technique, you can get a link into my description section, check, and you can do these things easily with bigger brush as well. If you're not comfortable doing these things with the help of bigger brush, you can use a smaller brush to paint some smaller element. Again, around the edges you can create some spikes, and this I have done with the lighter shade, as you can see. So this one is the first layer. Now you can add a little bit of green color in between, because green elements are also visible in the clover flower. And then you can create rest of the element like stems and leaves. So for the base of the flower, I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just creating some random pattern with the help of green color. But for the leaves, this time I'm going to paint it in a little different way. So I'm using lighter shade of green color to paint this particular leaf. And then let it dry for some time. So we are done with the leaf. This is the first layer. Now we can again concentrate on the flower. Now with the help of darker shade of pink color, I am adding few more elements in between. Make sure you are able to see the lighter shade of pink as well. Also we can see fine negative space in between. So everything should be visible. So you don't have to fill it throughout. You need to make sure you're able to see some white area You also need to make sure you're able to see the previous shade of pink as well. So likewise, you can repeat the same thing with darker shade. Darker shade means you need to take less water and more pigments, and something like this you can create. Now this one is pretty much better as compared to the previous one. Now you can add little darker shade around the leaf. So I'm adding one more layer of green color into the leaf area. This one is the darkest one, and I'm going through at one side of the leaf, and you can do for the base of the flower as well. Now I'm using fine brush to paint first flower. So this one is 0/6 from the miniature set. So if you don't have it, you can go with the first approach. And from this brush, you can create the outline of petal. So this time I'm not doing anything, but I'm just creating the outline structure like we did in the drawing. So this time with the help of brush we are doing it, with the help of color we are doing it. So create a small petal kind of structure throughout the oval shape that we have. So first concentrate on the oval shape, and then you can create a little bit spikes kind of pattern around the edges. And this one I like better because this one is more realistic, is what I feel. But the first version is easier than this one, and sometimes people don't have fine brush, so you can definitely choose the first approach. Now I'm creating spikes around the edge. You can add more spikes in between. So keep doing it until you're satisfied, but don't overdo it. You need to understand when to stop as well. So adding more spikes at one side of the flower. So I want to keep one side little darker as compared to the another side. So I'm adding more color at one side, and I'm also using red color as my final color and adding more spikes around one side of the flower. So you can see little darker shade at one side and lighter shade on the other side. And if you do this, you will get better result, is what I feel. Now you can do the same thing for this one as well. So I'm adding red color and adding more pattern at one side of the flower. So let me know which version you feel easier for yourself. And then for the leaf, again with the help of fine brush itself, I'm doing some hatching process like we did in the drawing. So create some line on both sides of the leaf and do it until you're satisfied. You can keep closer line, you can keep it at distance. So these things are totally up to you. And then you can do some outlining of leaf as well. So these are the two approaches to paint leaves, and we have learned two different ways to paint it. Let me know which one you like the most, which one is better, which one is easier for you guys to paint. And you can do some extra shading and detailing around the stem area. And I'm done with today's video. Hope this video is helpful for you guys. Hope you understand how we can draw it and how we can paint this particular flower in two different ways. So if you have any suggestion for me, like which flower I can do next, please do let me know into the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.